how important and how do collaborations between community health systems and academic institutions really support the development of future oncology talent, both rural and suburban or urban?
Yeah, well, I think it's an important question. I mean, we talked earlier, Joel brought up the idea of the tripartite mission, how important that is and how essential that is to the to our large cancer centers. But really maintaining this connection to the academic environments is really critical I think it's critical to the world of cancer. It's critical for innovation. It's critical for educational purposes. I think about some of the teaching hospital affiliations that really reinforce the educational mission. I think about training programs, fellowship programs that have a rural training track or a community training track, and those are accomplished away from the academic medical center, and it really trains people to have experiences in the community and even in rural settings. And perhaps that would, help our workforce in those areas that we talked about. There are, NPPA training programs for ambulatory oncology, which again goes to the training and having people work in those areas. Certainly, clinical trials outside of academic medical centers. All patients should have access to clinical trials. Whether it's through in-core sites. Don't ask me what that stands for, but that's it's sites like that where clinical trials are offered, in community settings. So I think that these affiliations and really I should say that the benefit is bidirectional. I don't want to suggest that all the knowledge is going out, right? I think the benefits are bidirectional, and trainees centrally benefit from being in rural settings. So I think that they're really vital to really continuing innovation, education, and really to workforce development, which is kind of what we've been talking about, that we need to continue to train our teams for the future.
I think most importantly, too, to me personally, it fosters the idea that everybody should have access to cancer care, to top cancer care. It doesn't matter where you are, you should have access to it. You should be able to get that if you need it. Joel, would love to hear your thoughts on this as well, in terms of the collaboration between community health systems and academic institutions, and how that influences the development of future talent.
Well, the reality is that 80% of cancer care, I believe, is delivered in the community, right? And you've got providers, in these settings that, as part of their continued learning and development, need to stay abreast of what is happening in precision medicine, needs to stay abreast of what is happening in these new innovative therapies that are rolling out of, the lab every day. So that relationship is key for them. You don't stop learning in oncology. You can't. You're not going to come out of fellowship in 2005 and have that 2005 standard of care be the only playbook that you're drawn from for the remainder of your career. That development has to continue. And frankly, in oncology, I think that is an expectation that is drilled into trainees while they're studying, that they then carry with them for the rest of their life. These are curious people who want to make sure that they're following the evidence. So these affiliations that are, again, very bidirectional, very, very critical. Also, it's important for the folks in these academic medical centers to understand what these community providers are seeing in terms of incidents, in terms of specific nuances related to exposures, issues related around disparities or access to screening and early detection. It's important for them to see that, because academically, that is a big focus of what we do. Again, extending the reach of, complex evidence-based care deep into these communities is, it's also part of our mission. But, the cancer care is evolving real time, state of the art is constantly evolving. It takes that type of collaboration to keep up and ensure that these folks in these rural census tracts, or even in, underserved urban areas for that matter, are able to access appropriate screening, are able to access state-of-the-art care, and able to access investigational therapeutics, just as if they, were going to a major academic center. that is important. It's an equity issue, and we should all be worried about it because, unfortunately, the trend in the United States is not going in the right direction at this time.